This is Dear Strategy, episode 112. Welcome to another episode of Dear Strategy, where we answer all of your questions about product and business strategy. Real questions from real people in real companies, just like yours. Welcome back, strategy creators, to another episode. This is episode 112. 112 episodes. Wow. Sometimes it's even hard for me to believe that we're that high. And I know that's not as high as many podcasts out there, but it's a pretty nice number for me. And like I like to do on some semi-regular basis, I guess, I want to check in with you, the audience. You know, we've been doing this for quite a long time, several years now, and releasing episodes every other week, releasing a blog post that goes along with each episode on alternate weeks as well. So definitely a lot of work, a lot of resource, but want to continue doing that as long as people are seeing value. But it's great if we can hear from you, right? So hear from our audience. Make sure that what we're doing is resonating. If you like what you hear, if you're learning from this show, shout out to us. Let us know about it. If you just go to visit us at dearstrategy.net, not only can you submit a question to be featured on the show, if that's what you want to do, but you could also just provide us feedback. Let us know what you think, right? Let us know what's on your mind. And do you like it? Do you not? Is there anything you want us to improve on? These are all things that really, really help us and quite honestly help to keep us going, right? So definitely go do that. Again, dearstrategy.net. You can click on the contact link and it'll take you to a form where you can go ahead and give us some feedback. So we'd love to hear from you on that. So in the meantime, we are going to go back to a strategy question this week. Again, those of you who follow the show regularly know that we are alternating between strategy stories that we analyze and strategy questions that we answer. And so this week we have a question, and here it is. Dear Strategy, what are the key elements to have in a successful strategy for a non-core product, and what things should we avoid? All right. So really, really great. You know, the first thing that I would say before even answering this question or trying to answer it yourself, I would say, is you need to make sure you know what you mean by a non-core product. There could be a million different definitions of that, a million different versions of that. And I'll go ahead and interpret this through my own lens and, you know, tell you kind of what I've seen in this, but it's really important that you understand what that term means, right? So if you're working for a big company, which I think is kind of where this question is coming from, and you have, you know, standard products that you're creating that you're known for, right? People know you for several different types of products. You're trying to get into a new business and you're putting a new product out there to try and test the waters. That might be one definition of a non-core product. And if that was your definition, my answer might be a little different than if your definition was that your non-core product is kind of an ancillary product to what you already have. So let's say you're a company that manufactures big equipment, right? Well, if you're trying to have a piece of software that goes with that, or a digital component or a control that goes with that, you might consider that to be a non-core product, but in fact, it's tied very intimately to the core product that you make. So my answer is a little different there, right? So that's the first thing, is try and understand what you mean by non-core product. Now, I think what's meant here is the latter definition that I just gave you. They have kind of a, you know, big product portfolio set, and they're creating kind of ancillary products that support those main core products. So let's cover that first, and then I'll go into the other piece just a little bit as well. But if you are in that situation, then it's really, really important that you tie the strategy for this non-core product into the core products that you have. And this does get tricky in some companies. There are some large, complex organizations that I work in where the quote unquote non-core products are an intimate part of the core products, right? A great example of this is if you make equipment and you have controls. Those controls might be able to be used with several different pieces of equipment. So you have product managers and product strategies for each piece of equipment, but then you have a product strategy for the control that could be used across the different pieces of equipment. And that might be considered a non-core product, but it's supporting a number of different core products. In that case, you need to make sure that those strategies are intimately married together, because the last thing you want to do is have a strategy for that control without marrying that strategy to all the strategies for the different pieces of equipment. Or worse yet, you tie it just to one piece of equipment and the other piece of equipment just have to adopt it no matter what, right? All of those things are not desirable. So you would use the same strategy process that we talk about on this show if you're a product manager for that non-core product, but you have to tie and align that strategy with all of the different core products that non-core product would support, right? And you have to treat it as a part of that core product because, again, one thing you really need to be careful of is you've got to look at it through your customer's eyes. So I've gone into some companies and they have a product manager, for example, for warranty, right? This is a real situation. So they have product managers for all the different products and they have a product manager for warranties. Well, that's fine. I'm not saying that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but you've got to look at it from the customer standpoint. The customer standpoint isn't looking at warranties as a separate product, right? The customer is looking at, they bought a product and that product comes with a warranty. And so they're thinking of it as part of the entire experience for that one product. So even though you're handling it separately for whatever reasons you might be doing that, the customer is going to see that as one complete product experience. And that can be said of a lot of things, whether your product has an app or a website or a control or a digital component or, warranty. Sometimes they see that for services businesses, right? So we have service, something that services a product that people buy. So again, two product managers, two separate products inside your company. But as a customer, I might see those things as one product ecosystem. And so all of this to say that when you're developing your strategies, use the same approach, right? Do the vision, do the analysis, do the planning, do the execution, build those strategies the same way that we talk about with everything else. But in this case, you have to make sure that those strategies are married together. So make those strategies or design those strategies in conjunction and coordination with the other product managers for the products that your product is supporting. Okay. So that's my biggest, kind of advice I would say on this. And even though it may seem obvious, believe me, I have seen this way too many times in companies where they have product managers responsible for these different quote unquote products that are supposed to support one another. And the strategies go off in completely different directions because they're not really looking at it through the customer's eyes. So make sure you do that. Okay. So that's number one. But if we go to the other part of, or the other interpretation, I should say, of the question, which would be if it's not a product that's supporting a core product, but instead it's a new type of a product in a new venture, a new market, or something that you're trying to get into that you hadn't gotten into before. You might consider that to be a non-core product because you're kind of testing the waters, but in fact, it is a standalone product and it's not necessarily married to your other core products. In that case, again, same strategy process that we talk about, right? You need to have a product strategy that ties all these things together. But here I would say, as far as best practices, you're dipping your toe in the water into a marketplace that you're probably not as familiar with, right? So my biggest piece of advice here is don't assume that just because you're a company with a great set of core products, that you're going to be able to march into another market or another business or another product set. And just because you slap your name on it, you're going to be successful. Doesn't generally work that way, right? And you see this from a lot of different companies, that follow each other into different markets. I mean, I'll give you a quick example, like Amazon with the Echo and the Alexa ecosystem, right? They had a really big hit with that. They were kind of first to market. They were known for that. And then everybody crowds in. And these are big companies that crowded in, right? Apple and Google. And, you could argue that they probably haven't had near the success as Amazon has had. But you can't just assume that, well, I'm Apple, so therefore if I release my version of this, that I'm going to be as successful because I put Apple on it. And I'm not accusing them. I don't know anything about their strategy for this, but just as an example, right, of a company that could fall into this category, those are things that you want to be careful of, right? And I've seen this happen to companies a lot. They have success with a core product. They have a great market share, great market, great audience, and they do really well with it. And they think, well, now I can get into this other ancillary piece. It's not quote unquote core, but if I slap my name on it, people are automatically going to eat it up. And it just doesn't work that way. So you really have to double down on the strategy process in this case. Make sure you do thorough analysis on what the customers need, what the competitors are and what the competitors are doing, what your own business capabilities are, right? Those analysis pieces that we talk about all the time on the show, those three become more important than ever. specifically with respect to the competitors. A lot of times you think, well, I can get into this and I can do this, right? But you're not considering that there are all these competitors that are already doing it. And if you just jump in, then it's not like, people are just going to run over to you. They're already getting satisfied, right? So go in and understand what your customers are not getting. Go in and understand what your competitors are not capable of. Go fix the problems that your competitors are having, and make sure you do that all under the understanding of what your own capabilities are. Don't underestimate that. Don't underestimate the investments that those things are going to take. Those are all the things that I would caution companies. So again, if you're getting into a non-core product that is a new kind of dipping your toe in the water thing, you need to really double down on that analysis piece. Don't skip that part. Really spend your time, really put a lot of resource into understanding the market, the competitors, and your company so that you make the right decisions and you make the right moves. Okay. So I hope that helps. I hope that's an answer that you can do something with. And I hope I've interpreted that right. Maybe there's a third interpretation that I didn't think of, but I hope not. In any case, if you have a question that you want to be featured on the show, please go out, like we said in the beginning of the show, go out to dearstrategy.net. You can click on the contact link and you can ask us a question. So we hope that you'll do that. Also, don't want to forget to do a shout out for the sponsor of the show, the company that I own and founded and work for, Strategy Generation Company. So we offer training and inspiration for product managers and business leaders. We have a whole slew of strategy courses and supporting courses that support the strategy process. So we hope you'll go to our website at strategygeneration.com. Check out what we have to offer. If you're interested in anything there, please click the contact link there and send us a note. And when I say us, it comes to me. So I will definitely be the one to answer it. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have and see if there's some way that we could work together. And while you're doing all of that, don't forget to make time for the plan. We'll see you back here on another episode of Dear Strategy. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for listening to Dear Strategy with Bob Caporelli. To learn more or to submit a question to be featured on our show, please visit us at dearstrategy.net.